Hello everyone, this is Akshay over here and welcome to Akshay's Biology classes. And as the NEET examination has been over, so obviously everyone is anticipating for the key answers and all. Obviously NTA will announce the key answers, but it will take quite a time, I guess. So prior to that, here is my attempt with respect to the key answers for the question paper. So first of all, I would like to thank Shri Guru Yadwar sir, who was the person who sent me the question paper of a student, I guess. So without much wasting time, we'll get started then. So the first question is identify the wrong statement with reference to transport of oxygen. So the options are partial pressure of CO2 can interfere with the O2 binding with hemoglobin. Higher concentration of H plus ions in the alveoli favors the formation of oxyhemoglobin. So they have said the wrong statement. Obviously, the second statement is the wrong statement. And the remaining two statements, that is the low partial pressure of carbon dioxide in alveoli favors the formation of oxyhemoglobin. And yes, it is true statement. And binding of oxygen with hemoglobin mainly related to the partial pressure of oxygen. Yes, it is also true. So let us move on to the here. That is the fifth question over here. That is select the correct events that occur during the inspiration. A statement is contraction of diaphragm. Next is contraction of external intercostal muscles. Pulmonary volume decreases. Intrapulmonary pressure increases. The right options are actually A and B. So out of four options, it is the fourth option. Sorry, oops, it is the fourth option, that is the right one over here. So we will move on with the second question. Which of the following refer to the correct example or examples of the organisms which have evolved due to changes in the environment brought about by the anthropogenic action? First one is Darwin's finches of Galapagos Island, herbicide-resistant weeds. The next one is the drug-resistant eukaryotes. D example is man-created breeds of domesticated animals like dogs. So actually, B, C, and D, all the three except the first one are the right one. So among the options, you can see that it is the second option that is correct. So hence the second option is the right answer for this. So here we are having another question, sixth one, that is oxygenation activity of Rubisco enzyme in photorespiration leads to the formation of one molecule of 3 carbon compound, one molecule of 6 carbon compound, one molecule of 4 carbon compound, and one molecule of 2 carbon compound. The fourth one is 2 molecules of 3 carbon compound. The right answer for this is the first one, that is one molecule of 3 carbon compound. So let's move on quickly to the next question. That is, which of the following is not an inhibitory substance governing seed dormancy? The first one is abscisic acid. Next one is phenolic acid. The third one is para ascorbic acid. The last one is the gibberellic acid. So the answer is gibberellic acid, which is not an inhibitor substance governing the seed dormancy. In the light reaction, plastoquinone facilitates the transfer of electrons from cytochrome B6F complex to PS1, PS1 to NADP, and PS1 to ATP synthase. The last statement is PS2 to cytochrome B6F complex. So it is from PS2 to cytochrome B6F complex. So fourth one is the right answer for this. Now moving on, we have got the match the following of diseases with respect to the causative agent, and we have to select the correct option. So you can see that typhoid, obviously typhoid is caused by salmonella, and pneumonia is mainly caused by Haemophilus, and filariasis is because of Wuchereria malayi or Wuchereria bancrofti. So C is here, and malaria is Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium falciparum. So hence it is here, right? So with respect to this, you can see that first option is the right answer for this. Now, in gen electrophoresis, separated DNA fragments can be visualized with the help of the first option is ethylene bromide in UV radiation. That itself is the right option. So I will not read the remaining options for that as we have marked the first one. So the ninth question we are having, the QRS complex in standard ECG represents depolarization of auricles, depolarization of ventricles, repolarization of ventricles, and repolarization of auricles. So it is depolarization of ventricles. Second option is the right one, the QRS complex. Remember the PQRST, the waves of the ECG. So I will just go on telling the answers. Moving on, the plant part, which consists two generations, one within another. So the first one we are having here is the pollen grains inside an anther, a germinated pollen grain with two male gametes, seed inside the fruit, The D is embryo sac inside the ovule. A and D is the right answer for this. That is pollen grains inside an anther and embryo sac inside the ovule are two generations within one another. Yeah. So which of the following statements are true for phylum Chordata? In Urochordata, notochord extends from the head to tail and it is present throughout their life. Okay, and the next statement is in vertebrata, notochord is present during the embryonic period only. Yes, it is true. And C is central nervous system, E is dorsal and hollow. It is true. And D is chordata is divided into three subphyla, that is hemichordata, tunicata, and cephalochordata. Not true. So the B and C is true. So the options which shows B and C is true is third option. The infectious stage of Plasmodium that enters the human body is sporozoite. Yes, that is the infective stage of Plasmodium, and it is the one that actually enters into the human body. Now, here another question. Presence of which of the following conditions in urine are indicative of diabetes mellitus? So, uremia and renal calculi. Second is ketonuria and glycosuria. Yes, it is the indication. Presence of ketonic bodies and glucose in the urine is an indication that the person is suffering from diabetes mellitus. Now, moving on, identify the incorrect statement. Sapwood is involved in conduction of water and minerals from the root to leaf. It is true. The second one is sapwood is the innermost secondary xylem and it is lighter in color. No, it is lighter in color, but however, it is not innermost, it is the outermost. Hence, the second statement is the incorrect one. So, the innermost layer is actually the hardwood, right? So, the first phase of translation is a recognition of DNA molecule, amino acylation of tRNA, recognition of anticodon, binding of mRNA to ribosome. So the first stage is charging of tRNA, hence amino acylation of tRNA is the right answer for this question. The next one we are having flippers of penguins and dolphins are examples of convergent evolution. Yes, it is a convergent evolution. So now ray florets have superior ovary, hypogynous ovary, half inferior ovary. Fourth one is inferior ovary. So the right option for this is inferior ovary. Now moving on, the 14th question we are having, identify the wrong statement with reference to the gene I that controls the ABO blood group system. So the first statement is a person will have only two of the three alleles. Yes, it is true. The person, when IA and IB are present together, they express same type of sugar. No, they express different type of sugar. IA gene mainly codes for N-acetyl galactosamine, but whereas IB gene codes for galactose sugar. So both of them are coding for two different sugars. So hence the right option, that is the wrong statement, is second statement is the wrong statement. So the remaining two are obviously should be true. So now the process of growth is maximum during lag phase, senescence, dormancy, log phase. If you look into the phases of growth, you will get a logistic growth. So from here to here is the maximum growth, right? And it is the log phase. Log phase, also called as the exponential phase, where the growth is maximum, right? Moving on, the roots that originate from the base of the stem are primary roots, prop roots, lateral roots, fibrous roots. It is the fibrous roots that originate from the stem. Yeah. Which of the following statement about inclusion bodies is incorrect? These are involved in ingestion of food particles. No, they are not involved in ingestion of food particles. So obviously the incorrect statement is the first one. Moving on, in water, hyacinth and water lily, pollination mainly takes place by water currents only. No, wind and water, insects and water, insects and wind. It is insects and wind. Insects or wind, sorry. Insects or wind is the right answer for this question. Now, next one is experimental verification of chromosomal theory of inheritance was done by Sutton, Boveri, Morgan, Mendel. It is Morgan. Moving on, which of the following is put into anaerobic sludge digester for further sewage treatment? Floating debris, effluents of primary treatment. Third is activated sludge. Fourth one is primary sludge. The answer is activated sludge. Yeah. Now moving on, select the options including all sexually transmitted diseases. So gonorrhea, malaria, no. Malaria is mainly through mosquito vector. AIDS, yes. Malaria again, no. Filaria, no. Cancer, no. AIDS, yes. Syphilis, yes. So the last option is gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes. Obviously, the fourth option, that is gonorrhea, syphilis, and genital herpes, all of them are sexually transmitted diseases. Now moving on, bilaterally symmetrical and asymmetrical animals are exemplified by Platyhelminthes, Esculmenthes, Annelida, and Ctenophora. So being acoelomate and being bilateral symmetrical, only Platyhelminthes show this kind of property. Now moving on, identify the basic amino acid: glutamic acid, lysine, valine, and tyrosine. So lysine is the basic amino acid, positively charged amino acid. Now, next question we are having: which of the following statement is not correct? The proinsulin has an extra peptide called C peptide. Yes, it is true. The functional insulin has A and B side chains linked by hydrogen. No, it is linked by mainly disulfide bridges. So hence second statement is not true. Now, moving on, which of the following in which of the following techniques the embryos are transferred to assist the females who cannot conceive? So the first one is GIFT and ZIFT. Next is intracytoplasmic sperm injection, that is ICSI, and ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian tube transfer. And next one we are having GIFT and ICSI. The last one we are having is the ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian tube transfer, and one is the intrauterine transfer. So IUT and ZIFT is the right answer for this question. Yeah. Moving on, which is the important site for formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids in the eukaryotic cells? Peroxisms? No. Golgi bodies? Yes. Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex are the place in the cell where glycoproteins and glycolipids are mainly formed. So now moving on, we are having 31st question, which is a match the following question with respect to correct option. The first one we are having is the Clostridium. So Clostridium is mainly used in production of butyric acid, that is A. And Trichoderma is mainly used for chlorosporin, that is 1. And Monozacchus is, as we all know, it is mainly used for the production of blood cholesterol lowering agent, C. And finally, Aspergillus niger, we know it is used for citric acid, D. So based upon this, you can see that if you look into all the options, the first one is the right one for this. So moving on, the number of substrate level phosphorylations in one turn of citric acid cycle is 1, 2, 3, 0. It is 1. One cycle is going on, the only one substrate level phosphorylation, which leads to generation of only one ATP. So 37 question we are having: which of the following hormone levels cause the release of ovum or ovulation from the Graafian follicle? High concentration of progesterone, low concentration of LH. Third option is low concentration of FSH. The fourth option is high concentration of estrogen. Now here this question is quite interesting because all know that LH is the hormone that is mainly involved in ovulation. But however, stimulation for the release of LH from the pituitary is under the action of estrogen. So obviously when high concentration of estrogen is released from the ovary, it stimulates the pituitary to release a high dose of LH, which causes ovulation. So based upon here, the fourth option is the right one, that is high concentration of estrogen. So this one I feel it is quite tricky. Moving on, embryological support for evolution was disapproved by Alfred Wallace, Charles Darwin, Oparin, that is Alexander Oparin. Next is Carl Ernst von Baer. It is Carl Ernst von Baer. Moving on, select the correct match. Phenylketonuria, autosomal dominant trait, no. Sickle cell anemia, autosomal recessive trait, chromosome 11, yes. So second option is the right one for this, where it is an autosomal recessive trait and the gene responsible for the sickle cell anemia trait is present on the chromosome 11. Thalassemia is X-linked, no, it is again an autosomal. Now, hemophilia is Y-linked, no, it is mainly X-linked. Moving on, the sequence that controls the copy of number of linked DNA in the vector is termed as, the first one is ori site, that is the origin of replication site. Next is palindromic site. Next one we are having is the recognition site. Fourth one is selectable marker. Answer is first one, that is the ori site. Cuboidal epithelium with brush order of microvilli is found in ducts of salivary glands, proximal convoluted tubule of nephron. Next is estuation tube, and next is lining of intestine. So it is proximal convoluted tubule of nephron, PCT of nephron. Next question, snow blindness in the Arctic region is due to inflammation of cornea due to high dose of UVB radiation. Yes, exactly. Snow blindness is mainly caused because of UVB radiation. So that being the right answer, I don't read the other three options. Here we are having one more question. Which of the following is correct about viroids? First statement is they have free RNA without protein code. Yes, they are free RNA molecules without any kind of protein code. So hence first statement is the right option. Next one we are having Montreal Protocol was signed in 1987. for the control of emission of ozone depleting substances. Yes. So the right answer for here, this question is the first one, emission of ozone depleting substances. The remaining options I don't have to go through because we have got the first option as the right one over here. Next one we are having which of the following pairs is unicellular algae. So Gelidium, Vesillaria. Next one is Anabina and Volvox, Chlorella and Spirulina. Yes, Chlorella and Spirulina are the unicellular algae. Now, the 42nd question we are having, transverse section of plant shows following anatomical features. The first feature is large number of scattered vascular bundles surrounding the bundle sheath, large conspicuous parenchymatous ground tissue, vascular bundles conjoint and closed, phloem parenchyma absent. So identify the category of plant and its part. The first one is monocotyledonous root, dicotyledonous stem, dicotyledonous root, monocotyledonous stem. The answer is monocot stem. So these features are mainly observed in the case of monocot stem. So now, identify the wrong statement with reference to the immunity. The first statement is when ready-made antibodies are directly given, it is called passive immunity. Active immunity is quick and gives full response. No, to get full active response, active immunity is quite slow, right? So the wrong statement is second one only. Now moving on, how many true breeding pea plant varieties did Mendel select as pairs which were similar except in one character with contrasting traits? 2, 14, 8, 4. It is 14. So next one we are having the specific palindromic sequence which is recognized as by EcoR1 is so remember the palindromic sequence for EcoR1 is GAATTC 5 prime, GAATTC 3 prime, right? So based upon that you can see the fourth option is the right one over here. Yeah, fluoridine starch has a similar structure to amylopectin and glycogen. Yes, exactly. The first option is the right one over here. Now, moving on, if the distance between two consecutive base pairs is 0.34 nm and total number of base pairs of DNA double helix in a typical mammal cell is 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 base pairs, the length of the DNA is approximately 2.2 meters, 2.2 meters, 2.7 meters, 2 meters. Direct question which has been asked from molecular layers of inheritance, it is 2.2 meters. Now moving on, identify the correct statement with regard to G1 phase, that is the gap 1 of the interphase. The first statement is reorganization of all cell components takes place. The second is cell is metabolically active, grows but does not replicate its DNA. Exactly, right? There's no replication of DNA and the cell is metabolically active. The replication of DNA occurs in the yes phase, right? So 45th question, the right option for this is the second option. Now moving on, by which method was new breed Sardale of sheep formed using Buccaneer ewes and Merino rams? So it is the first option is mutational breeding, second is cross breeding. Yes, through cross breeding we got Hisardale. So next one we are having, if the head of the cockroach is removed, it may live for few days because the cockroach does not have nervous system. So no, it does have nervous system. The second option is the head holds a small proportion of nervous system while the rest is situated along the ventral part of its body. Exactly. Second option is the right answer for here. The head contains very little or less nervous system and it is not involved in much activity. The main part of the nervous system is mainly present in the ventral part of the body. Moving on, match the trophic levels with the correct species examples in the grassland ecosystem. Right, again I match the following kind of question we are having. To the fourth trophic level, obviously the fourth trophic level will be the highest one. That is the top carnivore, and based upon all the options, vulture is the top carnivore over here. So for A it is 2. Second trophic level is generally an herbivore, so it is going to be rabbit, and the first trophic level is going to be a producer, right? So it is grass. Okay, so let me write it again once again. So B and C, and finally third trophic level we are having again a carnivore itself, but not a top carnivore. Here it is, right? So based upon this, you can see that fourth option is the right one over here. So Moving on, again I'm asked the following kind of question. The first one is inhibitor of catalytic activity. Next is presence of or possesses peptide bonds. Next is cell wall material in fungi and secondary metabolite. Right. So ricin, as we all know that it is a secondary metabolite. So we got one over here. And malonate, yes, exactly. It is an inhibitor of catalytic activity. I don't remember which, but however, it is an example for inhibitor of uh, catalytic activity. Yeah, exactly. It is succinate dehydrogenase. Yeah, glad that I remembered it. So it is an inhibitor of succinate dehydrogenase enzyme, right? So malonate means it is A, and chitin, yeah, obviously C. It is the cell wall in the case of fungi, and collagen is a protein, and it is obviously having peptide bonds. So B, right? So based upon this, if you look into the answer, fourth one is the right option for this. Now, the next question is the enzyme enterokinase helps in conversion of trypsinogen into trypsin. Exactly, that is what it does, right? So trypsinogen to trypsin. The next question we are having, that is goblet cells of alimentary canal are modified form of columnar epithelial cells. Yes, again, it is a modification of columnar epithelial cells. Chondrocytes you mainly find in the cartilage. Uh, Compound epithelial cells, no. It is skin as an example for that. And squamous epithelial cells, no. Again, it's not the right answer. Moving on, identify the correct statement with reference to the human digestive system. So the first one is serosa is the innermost layer of alimentary canal. No, it is the outermost. The second statement is ileum is a highly coiled part. Exactly. Again, second statement is the right one. Right now, 58th question we are having. Uh, Match the following columns and select the correct option. So 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits. Next is heterocircle caudal fin. Next is air bladder and poison sting. So trigon, we have the first option here is the trigon. Yeah, obviously trigon is having the poison sting. So D option, the first one. Cyclostomes, you know that they have the 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits. So it is A, right? Chondrichthyes, heterocircle caudal fin. So B over here. Osteichthyes, they mainly have the air bladder, right? So based upon this, you can see that the fourth option is the right one over here. Moving on, name the plant growth regulator which upon spraying on sugarcane crop increases the length of the stem, thus increasing the yield of the sugarcane crop. So the first one is gibberellin. Yes, gibberellin, as you know, it is mainly involved in elongation, increasing in the length of the stem, right? So ethylene, no. Abscisic acid, no. Cytokinin, no. I don't have to go with the details of the functioning of the hormones. The answer is gibberellin. That's it. So, next question we are having, dissolution of synaptonemal complex occurs during zygotine, diplotin, liptotin, pachytine. It is diplotin, right? So, it's in the diplotin when the synaptonemal complex completely dissolves. Pachytine is the stage when it mainly forms, right? Moving on, identify the wrong statement with regard to the restriction enzymes. So the first option is they cut the DNA strand they cut the strand of DNA at palindromic sites. Exactly, it is correct, but not wrong statement. Next one, second statement is they are useful in genetic engineering. Yes, obviously. Third one is sticky ends can be joined using by DNA ligases. Okay. Fourth statement is each restriction enzyme functions by inspecting the length of DNA sequence. Yeah, so now again this question is quite tricky, I would like to say, because they have said about restriction enzyme. So do you think DNA ligase is an restriction enzyme? No, right? So third statement is the wrong statement from this question. Yeah. So let us go on to the next one. Name the enzyme that facilitates the opening of DNA helix during the transcription. The first is DNA helicase, DNA polymerase, RNA polymerase. Next is DNA ligase. It is DNA helicase. It is the one that mainly facilitates the opening of DNA helix. Now, which of the following statements is correct? Adenine pairs with thymine through one bond? No. Adenine pairs with thymine through three bonds? No. Three hydrogen bonds, sorry. Adenine does not pair with thymine. No, it bonds with thymine. Adenine pairs with thymine with the two hydrogen bonds. Exactly. It is the right answer. So now, 65th question we are having. Match the following concerning elements. essential elements and their function in the plants. The first one we are having is the iron, second one is zinc, next is boron, and the last one we are having is the manganese. So if we look into the options over here, iron is mainly involved for biosynthesis of chlorophyll, and zinc is mainly involved for the IAA biosynthesis, that is the oxygen. So B comes over here, and boron is mainly involved in pollen germination. Yes, C comes over here, and manganese is mainly involved in photolysis of water. D, right? So based upon this, you can see that second option is the right one over here. The next question we are having, which of the following regions in the globe exhibits highest species diversity? Madagascar, Himalayas, Amazon forest, western Ghats of India. It is globally, it is Amazon rainforest. So now, which of the following would help in prevention of diuresis? Or reabsorption of sodium ions and water from the renal tubules due to aldosterone. Atrial natriuretic factor causes the vasoconstriction. No, it mainly causes vasodilation. Decrease in the secretion of renin by juxtaglomerular cells. No, and more water reabsorption due to under secretion of ADH. No, under secretion of ADH will not cause water reabsorption, right? So based upon the four statements, first statement is the right one over here, right? Reabsorption of sodium ions and water from the renal tubules due to aldosterone. So next one, again we are having a match the following kind of question. So mainly with respect to column 1, we are having pituitary gland and thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas. Column 2, we are having Graves' disease, diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus, and Addison's disease, right? So let us match them properly. Pituitary gland, it is diabetes insipidus, right? Because of vasopressin, deficiency of vasopressin mainly cause diabetes insipidus. Thyroid gland causes Graves' disease. Deficiency of thyroid hormones mainly causes the Graves' disease. Adrenal gland, problem with the adrenal gland will mainly cause the Addison's disease, that is hypocortisolism. And next one we are having the pancreas. It mainly causes, of course, insulin is mainly involved in this according to diabetes mellitus. Hence, so based upon this, if you look into the right options, the first one, no, yeah, it is the second one the right answer for the match the following of this question. Now, the next one we are having meiotic division of secondary oocyte is completed. The first option is at the time of copulation, second is at after zygote formation, third one is at the time of fusion of sperm with ovum, next is prior to ovulation. So it is third option at the time of fusion of a sperm with an ovum, right? Soon after the sperm enters into the egg or the ovum, the secondary meiotic division is completed. Now moving on, match the following columns and select the correct option. The first one we are having is the gregarious and polyphagous pest, adult with radial symmetry, and larva with bilateral symmetry. Third is the book lungs, and finally we are having bioluminescence. So next one we are having here, column 2 is Astrias, scorpion, Tenoplana, and next one we are having is the Locusta. Locusta, as we know, it is a gregarious pest, hence A is the right answer over here. And next is Ctenophora. We know it is mainly known for bioluminescence. Scorpion is known for book lungs. Astrias, it is an echinoderm, and echinoderms mainly exhibit radial symmetry during the adult stage, but in the larval stage they have bilateral symmetry, right? So based upon this, the right option for this here is first one, right? Now moving on, the products of reaction catalyzed by nitrogenase in root nodules of leguminous plants is are. The first option is nitrate alone, next is ammonia and oxygen, no. Third one is ammonia and hydrogen, exactly. Ammonia and hydrogen is the right answer for this. The first product actually is the ammonia of this reaction. Again, match the following. So the first column is A, floating ribs, B is acromion, C is scapula, D is glandular cavity. So column 2 is located between the second and seventh ribs. Next is head of the humerus. 3 is clavicle and do not connect with the sternum. Right? Obviously, floating ribs, we know that they don't connect with the sternum. Clavicle, yeah, clavicle is having an acromion. That is B, head of the humerus is the glandular cavity. It is articulating with the glandular cavity. It is D, and finally scapula is the one that is located between the second and seventh ribs. C, right? So based upon this, if you look into the match the following, so A1 is 4, yeah. So we can see that third one is the right option for this, right? Yes. Moving on, the 73rd question we are having. So the first one is Bacillus thuringiensis, next is Thermus aquaticus, Agrobacterium tumefaciens, and next is Salmonella typhimurium, right? So on two we are having cloning vector, next is construction of first rDNA molecule, next is DNA polymerase, the fourth one is proteins. So A is for proteins, that is fourth. DNA polymerase, that is Taq polymerase, that is Thermus aquaticus. B, construction of first rDNA molecule is D, that is Salmonella. And next is agrobacterium is mainly used in as a cloning vector. C. So based upon this, you can see that the right option for this is first one. Moving on, secondary metabolites such as nicotine, strychnine, and caffeine are produced by the plants for their. The first option is growth response. No. Second is the defense action. Yes, exactly. They are mainly produced for the defense action, but interestingly, we have found some uses for ourselves. So 74th question we are having, BT cotton variety was developed by the introduction of toxin gene of Bacillus thuringiensis. BT is resistant to, the first is fungal diseases, next is plant nematodes, next is insect predators, the fourth one is insect pests. It is insect pests, right? That is why it was mainly developed. Next one again match the following kind of question. The column 1 we are having BT cotton, next is adenosine deaminase, next is we are having RNA interference, next is PCR, right? So the column 2 we are having gene therapy, next is the cellular defense, third is the detection of HIV, and last one we are having is the Bacillus thuringiensis. So Bacillus thuringiensis is associated with the BT cotton, so hence fourth one is A, right? Next we are having detection of HIV, it is done by the PCR, so hence it is D. And cellular defense, we know it is RNA interference, it is C. And gene therapy is adenosine deaminase deficiency, was initially cured by through gene therapy, so it is B, right? So based upon this, you can see that the right option for this from all the four options is fourth one. Now moving on, choose the correct pair from the following. Polymerases break the DNA into fragments. No. Nucleases separates the two strands of DNA. No. Exonucleases make cut at specific positions within the DNA. No, they do externally. Ligases join the two DNA molecules. Exactly. So fourth one is the right answer for this. So from his experiments, Stanley Miller, that is S.L. Miller, produced amino acids by mixing the following in the closed flask, that is CH3, hydrogen, ammonia, and water vapor 800 degrees Celsius, CH4, hydrogen, ammonia, and water vapor at 600 degrees Celsius. Next is CH3, hydrogen, ammonia, and water vapor at 600 degrees Celsius. And finally, we are having again methane, hydrogen, ammonia, and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. Exactly, it is fourth one. The body of the ovule is fused within the funicle at micropyle, nucellus, chalaza, and hilum. It is mainly at the hilum. Next, strobilia or cones are mainly found in Pteris, Marchantia, Equisteum, and Salvinia. So the right option here is the equisetum. Sorry, it is equisetum. Again, match the following. The column 1 is again placenta, zona pellucida, bulbourethral glands, Leydig cells. Next one we are having androgens, HCG, layer of ovum, lubrication of penis. So lubrication of penis is because of the bulbourethral glands, that is C over here. Layer of ovum is the zona pellucida, that is B. And HCG is coming from the placenta, A, and androgens is mainly produced by the Leydig cells, hence it is D, right? So based upon this, you can see that, yeah, third option is the right one over here. Now let's move on to the next question. Again, one more match the following question we are having. Column 1, it is eosinophil, basophil, neutrophil, and lymphocytes. And column 2, we are having immune response, phagocytosis, release of histamine destructive enzymes, and next one we are having is the release of granules containing histamine. So we know immune response is mainly mediated by the lymphocytes. So hence it is A over here. And phagocytosis is mainly because of the neutrophils, that is C over here. And release of histam histaminase destructive enzymes, it is because of eosinophils, A. And the release of granules containing the histamine, it is coming from basophils, right? So based upon this, the fourth option is the right one over here. Let us move on to the next one. We are going to finish this as soon as possible. Which of the following is not an attribute of population? Natality, mortality, species interaction, sex ratio. Species interaction is not an attribute of population. Again, one more match the following. Column 1, we are having organ of Corti, next is cochlea, next is estuation tube, last one we are having stapes. So column 2, the first one is connects middle ear and pharynx, called part of the labyrinth. Next is attached to the oval window, located on the basilar membrane. So it is organ of Corti. Attached to the oval window, we are having is the stapes. Coiled part of the labyrinth is exactly cochlea. It is exactly the same. Connects the middle part, middle ear with the pharynx. It is the estuation tube. So based upon this, you can see that the right option for this here we are having is the second one. Second one is the right answer for this. Identify the substances having the glycosidic bond and peptide bond respectively in their structure. The first one we are having is the glycerol. Next is trypsin. No. Next one we are having cellulose and lecithin. No. Next one, the third is the inulin and insulin. Exactly. Inulin is a polymer of fructose and insulin is a protein, hence it will be having peptide bond. Moving on, in relation to the gross primary productivity and net primary productivity of an ecosystem, which of the following statements is correct? The first statement is gross primary productivity, that is GPP, is always more than the net primary productivity. Exactly. The first statement itself is correct because you know the formula, that is GPP minus the respiratory loss will give us the NPP, that is the net primary productivity. So hence it should be more than the net primary productivity. The 84th question we are having, which of the following statement, which of the following is the most abundant protein in the animals? The first is collagen. Yeah, collagen, as we know, it is the abundant protein in the animal. So the first option is the right answer over here. So in the case of plants, it is rubisco, which is an enzyme. Match the following with respect to meiosis. So first one we are having zygote, next is pituitine, next is diplotin, next is diakinases. In the next column we are having terminalization, next is chiasmata, and next is crossing over, the last is synapses. Zygote, we know it is mainly associated with synapses, that is A over here. Crossing over is mainly observed in the case of pituitine, hence it is B. Chiasmata, we know it is mainly in the diplotin stage, hence it is C. And diakinases is terminalization of chiasmata, it is the D, right? Yeah, D. So based upon this, you can see that yeah, the first one itself matches again properly to the columns. So the 90th question we are having, the last question, but we have to discuss other four remaining we are having again. Some dividing cells exit the cell cycle and enter the vegetative inactive stage, and this quiescent stage is G0. The process occurs at the end of the first is G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and M phase. It is the G1 phase. The cells can quit the G1 phase and enter into the G0 phase. Now, according to Robert May, the global species diversity is about 20 million, 50 million, 7 million, 1.5 million. No, the answer is 7 million. According to Robert May, his estimation is around 7 million. Next is 87th question. The ovary is half inferior in mustard, sunflower, plum, brinjal. It is plum where it is half inferior. Okay. Select the correct statement. Glucagon is associated with hypoglycemia. No, it is associated with hyperglycemia. Insulin acts on pancreatic cells and adipocytes. No. Insulin is associated with hyperglycemia. No, exactly it is opposite. It should be opposite. That is, it is associated with hypoglycemia. And next is glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis. Exactly, it stimulates gluconeogenesis. That is, production of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources such as lipids, proteins, etc. So this is technically going to be the last question. The process responsible for facilitating the loss of water in liquid form from tip of the grass blades at night and in early morning is. The first is root pressure, next is imbition, next is plasmolysis, next is transpiration. The answer is root pressure. Because of root pressure, you see that water is mainly lost from the tip of the glass plates. And it is also called as a guttation. Because of root pressure, guttation occurs. So I guess we have discussed all the questions from the biology section for the NEET examination. And what I think is that the question paper has been very much balanced from both the 11th and 12th biology. And apart from few questions, hardly one or two, that's what I want to say. All of the questions were from the textbook, and it was a very easy examination, easy to moderate. But if you are well prepared, I think it was completely easy for you people. So that's what I wanted to say. So if my video has actually helped for you people, you can subscribe to my channel, and most importantly, share this video with your friends, like, and do express your opinion in the comment section. Thank you.